people who sleep better have higher levels of testosterone, better mental health, and lower rate of heart events or cardiac events, because it's like you said, cortisol is directly related to inflammation. Inflammation is where a lot of the diseases that we have come from. So that's
I'm definitely going to bed early tonight.
I was about to say, can we pause for a nap?
Welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we've got I would call it a finish strong episode here for you. We've got an esteemed panel of guests. We have a packed house. You know, the studio audience has been waiting for this. They've been camped out for this event. We have the one and only Christopher J. Wirth, founder and president of No Quit Living. Welcome.
Thank you.
We've also got Denzel Robinson, owner of InnerQuest. Welcome.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, the man of the hour, the tower of power, always sweet, never sour, Mr. Christian Palmer, owner of Relentless Fitness and Nutrition.
Oh yeah, happy to be here, baby.
Okay. Listen, guys, we're all crazy, number one, because we're all entrepreneurs. So you can't be normal, because the things we do on a daily basis are not normal things, right? And it reminds me, we were discussing earlier, what was the banter going to be about? And there was this meme, this little video of a guy like just putting out this fire. Like he had like his whole laptop was on fire. And he was just like trying to put this fire out. And it was like a day in the life of an entrepreneur, trying to create content, trying to invoice, trying to make sales, responding to email. I mean, is this for the faint of heart or what?
I think everybody, to your point, has to have a little bit of, if not a lot of crazy within their realm to join this crazy world of entrepreneurship. But that meme, I think, says it perfectly. You're always doing something.
You're putting a fire out of some sort.
And trying to do four other things at the same time.
Even the things you aren't good at.
Oh, especially, and a lot of times you do the things that you're not good at more than you do the things that you're good at. And people are like, right. I didn't know you're good at that. And you're like, right. I wasn't.
I'm not.
And I hate it, but I have to do it.
Right. And now, you're also required to be a content creator. On top of being good at, you got to be good at something, right? As an entrepreneur, you're using your gifts and talents. You've decided, I'm going to venture out and do this. And we're all in different places in our journey. How many years in are you, Chris?
17.
17. And Denzel?
I'm one. Year one, baby.
So year one, what's that been like? When is the anniversary, or did it pass?
So anniversary did not pass yet. I'm still in year one. This is technically month 9. So I started my business.
So it's like a 9-month baby.
Yeah, exactly.
So a
lot of crying, a lot of up in the middle of the night checking to make sure it's all right. So it's been incredible. There's really been a lot to learn. It's just once you're in that year one, you're really just taking a lot of ownership with everything, right? There's not really necessarily a lot of added aid for help. But I think a really big important thing for people to understand is when you are in year one, making sure that you have, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach, somebody you look up to that's a really great person to light that path for you. And I've just been fortunate enough to have those people in my journey. So
absolutely.
Definitely helps a lot.
Don't worry, year 2 is just a complete breeze. It's just totally downhill from here on.
Right. Yeah. Christian, how many years are you into this entrepreneur?
So I am 5 years in, going strong.
Nice. So 5 years, that would be the equivalent of being in kindergarten.
Yes.
So what have you learned in your first 5 years? Because they say, there's so many like statistics, so you can always hear somebody say, well, they say this or they say that. But I did hear that if a business goes beyond 5, it's solid. And that most businesses actually close within the first 1 to 3 years. So you've kind of gotten over that hump. What's it been like?
It's been awesome. Yeah. And I heard that same statistic. Mm-hmm. And it's a growing experience. It's a learning experience every day. You got to be a dreamer. You got to be a hustler. You got to be a doer. You got to be a synergist. You got to be able to put out fires. You got to be able to coach people. You have to give people therapy. And it's incredible the amount you learn about yourself, how resilient you are. Right. And the most important part, regardless of what anyone thinks from the outside, is building relationships.
Absolutely.
Because the people that you meet will send you places. They'll introduce you to people. They'll teach you things. They'll say, you know what? I did it that way. It's not going to work that way. Try it this way. And they shorten your runway to get to those milestones and goals. So
that's a great piece. Chris, would you agree with that it's relationships?
I couldn't agree more. I think at the end of the day, if you look back, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 16, 17, 20, it comes down to relationships. And you need those different relationships at different points. And as Denzel mentioned, I think we all probably had, and I know that some of us still have coaches and mentors now, but it's a different relationship. Some of your clients become some of your closest friends. Mm-hmm. Some of your coworkers become some of your confidants that you go to. But I think the foundation of successful businesses is relationships. And I think we all know those businesses where people will say, I'm going to always do business, whatever that business is, with this specific company because of that person and their employees. And yes, you have to obviously at the end of the day have a good product. But if you look at comparable products, I think almost every single time, if not 9 out of 10 times, it's going to come down to the relationships first.
Right. Relationships. And I think one of the, side effects of a good relationship or something that gets produced is you basically recruit a brand ambassador. You have someone out there who can advocate for you, recommend you, send you business, and you're obviously reciprocating that. But I think that's a key component, is making sure that you're putting out good work, you're doing the right thing, doing well by people. And Denzel, go a little deeper into your business. We're going to get all into the Finish Strong conference. I mean, that's what this is really about. And we're going to share all that information towards the end of the show. But I want to hear more about InnerQuest and how it started.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, in my past, I worked at a lot of different gyms, like the Edge Fitness Clubs, Orange Theory, and also Upward Human Performance, which is where I was a personal trainer. And before that, I was a consultant at the front desk, right at the Edge. And what I noticed was a lot of people would come into the gym and I would build these great relationships with these members, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is great. Like, they're awesome. They're showing up. I love to see them. And then all of a sudden they'd fall off. And part of me was like, where'd they go? Mm-hmm. Right? I was like, where did they go? They were doing great. What happened? And so, part of my job is really just to be like of customer service to the members of the gym. And so when I was there, it really hurt me when I would see members leave and fall off. And it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I honestly want to be a trainer. Like, I used to be an athlete. Like, I could definitely be a trainer. I could do it. Right. So I kind of took a jump there and I'm like, I don't want to follow necessarily that corporate ladder of being that. I want to actually coach people. So I got my certification. One of my friends I ran into, he got me connected to a guy over in Milford at Upward Human Performance, Derek Ward, former mentor of mine. And he opened a door for me. He taught me the ropes of like how to really be a good trainer, how to be attentive, right? How to really focus and put in that extra work. Because I had those people in college and or in high school too. But really from that experience, I learned, okay, you know what? This is definitely more so what I want to do. I want to help people change. I want to help people succeed.
Was there a moment that something clicked and you were like, this feels like my purpose. This feels like what I want to really do? Yeah.
So this kid, RJ, that I was working with, really, really awesome kid. He was, at the time I started training him, he was 16. Or no, sorry, he was 14. And he came in, he didn't really have like a lot of confidence, right? He was kind of goofy because I used to be like a huge gamer, right? Really big gamer growing up and like just super nerd in that regard. But he was also an athlete like me. So I saw myself in him, but he's trying to like learn a lot of the ropes and get stronger. And at his age, I didn't have a trainer. You kidding me? I went to high school, I went to practice and that was it. That was my training. So having the opportunity to work with him, I worked with him over the past 2 years and just saw his confidence develop, his strength develop, just become a killer and performer. And I'm just like, dude, this is so great. Like that I get to help these people. It was
rewarding.
It was so rewarding. Yeah. And I've never felt that in any other thing that I've ever done. And I'm like, this is what I want to do.
So how do you handle when somebody like doesn't take to the advice or like does fall off and
he sends him to Christian.
Right.
Christian
I sent him to this guy.
First he beats him up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so what I'll do is, when people fall off, it's a part of the journey, right? We've all fallen off at some point, and it's having the grace as a leader to understand that you're trying to guide them, and you have to also let them make certain mistakes, right? You can give them the roadmap and the blueprint, but they're the ones who have to actually take that action and be accountable, right? So when they are making those mistakes, really making sure that, you know, you're there and you let them know, hey, I'm supporting you, right? The old style, and there is some, you know, use for this, but some people are coached in different ways. Some people, they love when you get in their face and you get intense. Other people, absolutely not. And that's not the approach for them.
Right. And I do believe I believe in abundance. I think like there are enough clients for everybody. You find your space, but I'm intrigued by the brand InnerQuest. It sounds like it's like a mindset. Yeah.
So it really did start with mindset, and it started with habits coaching as well.
Okay.
But it's something way more than that. And really what this world needs right now is a level of spirituality in the coaching, right? People need faith. People need to have faith in themselves. And I feel like a lot of things that I'm noticing in society is that people are starting to lose that faith in themselves, right? There's so many different distractions and things that are just, whether it's your phone, whether it was like video games for me, right? Different things. And people are lost. I feel like people don't have that connection to the root of them. And for me, when my parents were divorced at 3, I really noticed that for me, like not having a dad in my life for a while he'd come to my games and stuff, but I didn't see him a lot. I didn't really know, I didn't have that guidance.
Yeah.
So, you know, once again, for a lot of people I try to help, that's what I'm looking at. Like, what is it? Why are you here? Like, why are you here? And I want to help you find that. And I want to help you create systems, right? And create the right habits to actually make that become reality.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And so your brand, Christian, I'm looking at you, man, bulging out of the, you know, for those that run to YouTube and watch this, and that actually is a size 2T t-shirt.
It's actually 1T. I saw it, but
1T. So you have to be a parent to know what those numbers are. But anyway, man, Christian, Relentless Fitness. So that's a complete different feeling that I get from the branding. Tell us about how you created this brand and what prompted you to go on this journey.
So in 2013, I started working as a trainer at Equinox in Mamaroneck in Westchester. And my experience was similar to a lot of trainers, right? You got to build business, learn how to build relationships, learn your craft, and become good with interpersonal relationships with people. And as I started to train more people, you know, Westchester's an affluent area. So I started to get a lot of guys who were entrepreneurs, CEOs, high-level executives. And I realized that a lot of them shared the same issues, right? They had plenty of zeros in the bank, but they didn't feel like they used to. They didn't have the vigor they once had when they were younger. They had less energy. They weren't proud of what they saw in the mirror. Their relationships at home would suffer due to the traveling, due to them not feeling
stress.
Energetic. The relationships, you know, intimate relationship with their wives would suffer.
Right.
And I saw these guys who were shells of themselves. Now, if you saw them in the business world, you go, this guy's got it going on.
Yeah.
But when he goes home, he's not happy.
Yeah.
And I had spoken to several people that were members there and clients of mine who they had what they call golden handcuffs. They're like, you know, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't feel confident when I go to the beach or when I go, you know, out in public. He's not
taking care of business when he goes home.
Correct. Exactly. And therefore the relationship suffers. So I started to help these guys out and help them lose weight, get stronger, you know, regain their vigor, their thirst for life. And that translated to the business world. And they would say, man, I've never felt this much energy, this much confidence, right? My relationship's better at home, which that's extremely important for me because I think everything starts at the homestead. And I'm also a firm believer that every man should be his kid's superhero. And that was not something that they felt like they were. Right? It's like, you know, you can handle your business in the business world, but when your kids look at you, they want to say, my dad's the best. My dad could beat your dad up. My dad's stronger than yours, right? Yeah. They want to see you like that beacon, like a lighthouse.
What about the dad bod? What's up with that?
It's so some people say, oh, it's cool. You know what? I'll say this.
There's nothing cool about it.
No. And
it
I'll
means
say
you've
this.
given up on yourself, right?
Yeah, yes. And some people say I'm too busy. I'm like, there's always excuses for everything. You can have one or the other, results or excuses. And I've got guys who are running Fortune 500 businesses who are on planes, trains, automobiles all the time, who have multiple kids. I'm talking 3, 4, 5 kids. They're going to games. They're traveling to see their family across the country. They're traveling for business. And it's all a matter of 1, learning habits, 2, making the right choices, and understanding, is the decision I'm making right now going to make my future self happy, right? And am I keeping the promises that I made to myself yesterday to make the future self an actual reality that I want? So as I started to help these guys and they started to tell me these things, it gave me a feeling of fulfillment that I hadn't felt from anything before, right? Whether it's my own pursuits or things that I thought were just interesting and fun. When I saw those guys, 1, show me the picture of them with their kids, the kids hoisted up on their shoulders. Yeah. They're at the beach feeling confident with the shirt off, finally not wearing a shirt to cover themselves up, hearing that the relationship with their wives, which, they would tell me in confidence, is getting better. Right. And they're like, man, I feel so good now.
Without
my house
taking
is better.
Drugs or anything like that.
Yes.
Performance enhancing.
Yeah. And that stuff is
natural.
Correct. And a lot of people think that's what you have to do. No. What that stems from is oftentimes people who don't want to put in the effort will say, oh, well, that's because of this, right? Oh, well,
steroids.
Yeah, Michael Jordan just had great genetics. So that's why he was the greatest ever. Oh, Tiger just had, No, it's effort. It's a relentless pursuit of greatness. Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I love Relentless. And that's why red is the color of my brand, because it represents power, passion, and in my opinion, a drive to succeed.
We like red here, by the way.
Yeah.
Red and black all the way.
No, that's awesome, man. And I think you've identified your target, and you have this relentless focus on that group that I think is affluent, professional. They can afford your services. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, one of the things we would say is like, identify who you're selling to. It can't be everybody, but you have this demographic that is primed for help because they've put everything else first, right? They're killing it in business, but then it's prioritizing your own health. Because I'm in my 50s now, and I see a lot of guys dropping dead, man. Unfortunately, once they get to their 50s, and you're like, wow. So all of a sudden, one of the things I started doing is putting working out in my calendar, It's an appointment I have with myself to make sure that it's a Peloton or I lift weights but I'm doing something very active. Now, output is there. Input could probably use some help because is that right? Because
100%.
You're doing. I see it says nutrition. Tell us a little bit about some of that aspect of your business.
So nutrition is the foundation for which everything flourishes, right? They say you are what you eat. Let food be thy medicine, right? Medicine be thy food. Those are extremely important because you can have a person that doesn't work out, right? But eats right and can still look and feel fit and be healthy based on their blood work. But you have a person who eats like crap all day and they say you can't outrun a bad diet.
Yes.
You can look decent, but inside, right, close to a heart attack. And that's something that I've had with a lot of my clients who are stressed. They're not getting a lot of sleep. Right. And they come to me and say, hey, the doc just said I've got a 50% blockage in my arteries. Like, what do I do? And these are things that, again, I'm very, very firm on family and being providers and protectors. And I would have conversations with some guys who would say, oh, what's wrong with some beer every day and yada, 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 because it helps me de-stress. And I'd say, are you okay with the fact that another man might be raising your kids one day?
Right.
Because you're not here.
Right.
And he would say, oh, man, I never thought of that. And I'm like, well, you need to. Rather than doing
man
this,
walking into your all the stuff you've accumulated, your home.
Correct.
This is pretty cool.
Correct.
Here's the keys to your Lamborghini and all.
Ed Milet has a fantastic story he shares where he had some heart issues years ago, and the doctor basically asked him, he said, are you okay with another man walking your daughter down the aisle when she gets married?
Mm-hmm.
That's a wake-up call.
Exactly. And sometimes you have to make it. In my opinion, the people that achieve the greatest things in life are ones that serve. And that means your mission is greater than yourself. It's not, well, I'd love to lose 5 pounds. It's, no, I want to be healthy for my kids. Or like Ed Milet said, I want to be healthy for my daughter. And they say a man with a strong why can bear anyhow. Oh, well, it's cold this morning. Okay, you want to be around for your kid.
Right.
Oh, I don't really feel like it. I'm tired. Great, go tell your kid that. Right. Oh, I'm sorry, Daddy can't do it because he's a little tired.
Well, that's what they say, discipline over motivation. Because you're not going to, every day you wake up, there are days where I want to curl into a ball. Like any entrepreneur, we talk about all the things that we're juggling but it's the discipline that's like for me, the accountability, we're going to get back to Chris with accountability, but for me, is having a trainer is also part of accountability. Like I know this guy's waiting for me, paying him. I got to get up out of bed, even if I don't feel like it, and go. But before we switch gears, I do want to ask you one more thing, because I think the demographic you're working with, there's a hormonal aspect to your work, because when you're stressed, you're releasing cortisol. As you get older, women go through menopause, but men also they produce less testosterone. And weights, right? Maybe talk a little bit about how weights can help offset that, because we were alluding to the bedroom and all that other stuff, but a lot of that is having, if you don't have enough testosterone, you're not going to have that drive, and that's why these guys are like falling asleep in the lazy boy chairs.
Christian, weights are those things that people sometimes lift at gyms.
I pick it up, I put it down.
Yeah. I think I've seen one or two.
I'll send you a picture right here.
So 100%.
He gets called a dumbbell, but he hasn't really used one yet. That's what it is.
Talking about me or Christian? That's messed up. He calls you a dumbbell, Christian.
So testosterone is what makes us men.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that keeps us virile. It keeps us vigorous.
Right.
It gives us energy. It makes us strong. It gives us our mission or our drive to conquer in life.
Yeah.
And women go through menopause, and they've kind of coined the term andropause for men. And typically after age 30, for most men, there's some level of decline. Oftentimes it's 1% in testosterone per year. And what that equates to is a loss of muscle over time. It makes it harder to burn fat. You don't feel as driven to conquer and take care of business in life, provide and protect. And that's when you see guys become a shell of themselves, especially when you're not taking care of yourself. So that also leads to things like sexual dysfunction and problems with confidence, because testosterone controls all of that. So things like lifting weights, and I say you have to do it intensely, right? Because there's people that go in the gym and just go through the motions. No, your body has to have a reason to adapt. You get stronger because your body says, oh, that thing that person just did was hard for me. Let me make myself stronger so the next time it's easier. That's what happens when you lift weights. And the byproduct of that is an increase in testosterone. Then there's sleep. And sleep is a magic bullet. I would absolutely put it in the top 3 pillars of life.
Wow.
People who sleep better have higher levels of testosterone, better mental health, and lower rate of heart events or cardiac events, because it's like you said, cortisol is directly related to inflammation. Inflammation is where a lot of the diseases that we have come from. So
that's I'm definitely going to bed early tonight.
I was about to say, can we pause for a nap?
Awesome.
So Chris, I mean, a lot of this too, and we want to get back to like how you've taken these passions and like turned them into a business, because a lot of people listening are like, yeah, okay, they get it, you love this stuff, but the how is always key. Like I don't want to gloss over that. But before we do, Chris, the accountability community, no quit. You've been on the show before, but if you can just give us a nugget about how this all started.
Yeah, going back to what you just said, it's things that you like, things that you love. I've always been enamored by people that excel, whether that's greatness, success. Obviously, I have a background in sports. And for me, the word that kept on coming to the forefront was accountability. This person's accountable. He's accountable to himself. You had mentioned a trainer. This person wanted to get better, so he hired a trainer. This person wanted to get better, so he hired a mental performance coach. And I realized that with everything that's out there, there is an opportunity to help people be more accountable. And the whole concept of no quit is, it doesn't mean that you don't ever quit ever in life, but the premise is just don't give up today. Don't quit today. Don't quit on your workout. Don't quit on your business, your spouse, your significant other, and go one more. And for me, when you put that together with the accountability community, I wanted to surround not only myself with people like the 3 of you, but also get in a room people that wanted to level up. And there's the idea of iron sharpens iron, which is actually a biblical saying that we all take into today's day and age, where we talk about masterminds, we talk about paid mentorship, paid coaching. You talk about, how do I get my marketing better? You find somebody who excels in that area and you hire them. And I think the most successful people out there that I've seen or I've studied, have had the opportunity to have on my show, they all have coaches, plural, and have had multiple coaches or mentors throughout their entire personal and or professional life. And when you surround those people together, amazing things happen.
Absolutely. And I can't wait till we're all together on Tuesday, October 22nd for the Finish Strong Personal and Professional Development Conference. We're going to have all four of us are going to be there. And it's going to be at the Norwalk Inn. I'll promote it again right before the end of our show. But before I do that, I do want to open it up to whoever wants to answer, because you've all got these passions. How did you turn it into a business? What was the first thing you did?
Yeah. So for me, really making it into a business, I just thought, okay, who can I help? Right? Literally, who can I help that I know could definitely benefit from what I'm offering here? And so what I first did was actually at the last event that I was at with Mr. Accountability over here, Mr. No Quit, they talked about habit share, right? And so I got on that app, and that app, I was like, wow, this is very helpful. This is very, very beneficial in terms of just being super, super accountable for all the stuff I'm doing. And that's a great thing to definitely implement into business as well. And so I did implement that into the business. However, with the just starting up with people specifically, I had friends that wanted to basically work with me as a trainer, right? As a coach. And then I started to coach them. But then I was like, wait, let's add the accountability aspect even further, right? Because I did go off on my own to train people specifically, right? Like,
did you, I mean, I'm talking basics here.
Yeah.
Like, did you quit your job and start doing it, or did you moonlight as a trainer before you went full time?
Yeah. So I ended up quitting the job. So I left Upward Human Performance at the time, and I was kind of just in this weird in-between world where, you know, I was trying to figure out how am I gonna start this? I don't know what I'm gonna do. And one of my mentors that
this is where the crazy part comes in.
One of my mentors,
a normal person would not.
You don't
not
ever
quit their job.
A normal person, you give your 2-week notice while you're already working, so you're collecting 2 paychecks, two
unemployment,
healthcare,
plus whatever other scam you have going on.
And at the time, I'm at home. I've been in like a mentorship group for a couple of months now with this guy, Chris Warren's awesome guy. And it was really interesting because he basically said, hey, you should come to my in-person mastermind. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, how much would it be? And he's like, it'd be $4,400. And at the time for me, I mean, I had maybe.
That's a lot when you're starting out.
Exactly.
Anybody,
and I mean, and
honestly.
Meanwhile, this is somebody who, like, once again, was living paycheck to paycheck and did not have anywhere near that amount of money. Right. So, and I also had credit card debt as well.
You weren't going to be like, hey, mom,
right? Exactly.
Hook a brother up.
Exactly. And this was me. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to make this work? And I almost was like, you know, I don't want to do it. But then all he had to say was, Denzel, I want to ask you a question. This $4,000, what could it turn into potentially?
Right.
Could it turn into $44,000? $444,000? And I'm just thinking to myself, if there's going to be a time for me to do this, it has to be now.
Yeah,
so
you took a leap.
I did an irrational decision, right? It doesn't make logical sense.
Right.
And when you're an entrepreneur, by the way, everybody, like, you're going to make decisions that do not make logical sense.
And you can't
have to
tell them to a normal person, because if you would have talked to one of us, we would have all been like, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Go for it. But if you talk to like I would say a quote unquote normal person, like somebody that is not an entrepreneurial mindset, because it is a mindset. And I believe you can have that mindset even as an employee. And I encourage that here. I want folks, like, if you can figure out another way we can make money, you can own that, you know, like start it, you know.
That just interject for a second. That fits under the growth mindset versus fixed mindset.
Absolutely.
And for me, we've talked about this before, and I think we even talked about it when I was on your show. The entrepreneur title, it's like the new cool thing. But when it comes to a mindset, whether you are a 9-to-5 employee, whether you work for somebody else, or you have crazy aspirations to have your own business, regardless where you stand, I believe the growth mindset and the fixed mindset stands out even more, because that, to me, is your nucleus inside your body of how you're going to spend the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Right.
Are you going to figure out a way to make something happen? Do you have a dream for a side job? Is there a book you want to write? Is there a project you wanted to launch? Do you want to volunteer somewhere? But if you have that fixed mindset, it's, well, I don't have time. I can't find the time. And we've talked about this. And one of the topics we're going to talk about there is it's the idea of making time versus finding time. Nobody ever will find time, but everybody can make time if they truly want to.
Absolutely. In this conference, again, on Tuesday, October 22nd, we're going to cover mindset, goals, branding, accountability, time maximization, consistency, leadership, all of these things that are key components of whether you're in sales or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're moving up the corporate ladder. I think what you described, that leap, you looked at it as an investment. Is the way he was trying to position it.
And when I went there too, it was a 2-day in-person mastermind. So I got to meet some of the other guys who were coming and girls that were coming around the whole country, right? That like I never got to actually see in person. And so we all talked. It got really emotional for some of us because some of us were once again sharing like really personal stories at that mastermind, just put it in perspective. And I walked away from that mastermind with a business.
Wow.
And that's awesome. The power that you have when you invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
Take that leap.
And Christian, what was it like for you? I know it's been 5 years, but like day one, did you have a blueprint, a business plan? How did you start?
So it started off with a dream, like many of us, right? I saw something that I wanted to accomplish, and I knew that working where I was, I wouldn't be able to do that. I didn't want to go the corporate route. I saw my ceiling there and I said, you know what? I have to do something on my own. And at first I just started thinking, okay, do I just kind of train them at another facility and slowly start to have clients follow me over there? Or, I was putting the plan together and a friend of mine introduced me to a coach that she was like, oh, just talk to this guy. He's a business coach. Just see what he has to say. I know you want to launch a business yourself. That's what he specializes in. So I talked to him. His name's Matt Park. And I told him what I wanted to accomplish and where I was. And being in a gym with affluent people and having plenty of locations around, he's like, okay, first, you have to do this the right way because you're dealing with people who have a lot of money and they have expectations. Okay, quality matters. Right. Make sure you take care of them and you'll set yourself up for future success because they'll tell other people about you because they also look at what you're doing. Many of them are entrepreneurs as something awesome, right? They're like, hey, well, you wanted to do this thing. A lot of these other people are just going to keep riding the same roller coaster, but you are going to step out on your own. So,
and I think people innately love to say, like, I know a guy. They love connecting. Like if they've found something good, it's like they love giving value to each other. The good connections that we all have. So it's like that if you take care of that client, he's going to bring you another client who's going to tell somebody else. And somebody
goes back to what you said, kicking off the show about relationships.
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where anyone listening right now, you have to be willing to take risks. And just like you said before, some of them are going to seem irrational. Matter of fact, a lot of them are. Not some of them, a lot of them. Because you have to trust that they say that a bird doesn't land on a branch trusting that the branch will break, but it trusts its wings. Right? Because things are going to fall out from under you. Murphy's Law. If you can think of it, it's probably going to happen at some point.
Right.
So I've always been a risk taker since I was a kid. And I'm like, you know what? This is not the time to stop it. This is the time to lean into it. So I talked to Matt and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Right? You got to pay the money. And that's the part too, is you got to be able to figure it out. Grant Cardone, an entrepreneur that I've been following for years, says, commit now, figure it out later. And that is something that the day I heard him say that, which was on, I believe I was watching some of his content, I embraced that wholeheartedly.
Yes, it resonates with entrepreneurship.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Where, anything, as soon as either a problem comes up or an opportunity, I automatically say, if it seems like it's good, yes. It's like, oh man, I don't have the money right now. How am I going to make that work time-wise? And every single time I've been able to figure it out because—
And they say scared money don't make money.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've got to be willing to take the risk. And that's also going to attract other people who respect that because they'll say, you know what? I like that. I like the fact that you're willing to take a risk. And more importantly, you're willing to do the work. So when Matt told me what to do, he said, okay, this is how we have to do it. Pick a location that's not too far, right? It was within 2 miles because they're not going to want to drive because they're efficient people. They got to get on the train by this time. They got these things to do, kids to take care of. And he gave me the step-by-step process on how to make that happen, how to keep them satisfied. So all they had to do is basically show up at another building.
Right.
They didn't have to change. Okay, I got to pay this way. I got to do
Right.
this. So when you go about these decisions, make sure, like you said, find the right people to help you do it the right way, or as best you can. You're going to make some mistakes. Some things are going to happen. But at the very least, if someone has a framework like a business coach that they say, I know how this works, right? Let's set you up for success. Do it. If you don't have the money right now, figure it out. If you got to, right, get to the credit
100%.
cards.
Yeah, that's right.
Or, don't be above asking people. If you've got people who believe in you, hey, could I use $500? You do what you have to do.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And I think, I can identify and I know for the first 6 months of my business, I hired a coach. I had a coach. It was like $1,500 a month, and I was paying. He was like, his name was Tom Mayer. Rest in peace. He's passed away since. But he was just a guy that had his own franchise called Action Coach, and it's a franchise. There are a lot of free services out there like Score and MBDA and all these other places that you could get resources. But for me, that I just was referred to me. He was in my chamber. Hired him. He showed me like what a P&L statement looks like, how to figure out who I can afford to hire. A lot of the things like I knew I didn't know well enough to kind of do this on my own. And I think all of us have shared the investments we've made, and I've subsequently been to a number of trainings at Tuck, for businesses, and I've gone to business school to learn even more. And you guys have all, I know, Chris, you've invested heavily in your brand, and I call it the halo effect. It's like there are people that don't have access to a Grant Cardone, but you've gone, and now you can at an event like this, like at Finish Strong, that's the halo effect. Like Chris Jarvis, who wrote the foreword of my book, Be the Giraffe. He's always tied in with all these guys like Jack Canfield, the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy. Like
Great.
on a first name basis, they text each other. I don't have that relationship with Jack, but I have it with Chris. So whatever Chris gleans from Jack, I can get from Chris, and that's the halo effect, and that's I think what we're bringing to the table at Finish Strong is a collective mastermind session for professional development, personal development, really geared towards entrepreneurs, salespeople, people that think like entrepreneurs, people that want to like finish strong because the year ain't over.
That's right.
I love it. And in our promotion, it's if you're ready to make 2025 your best year, the key is to finish 2024 strong. Now, for somebody reading that might sound cliche, but we've talked about this. And one of the things that I was very adamant about getting the three of you involved in this fun and exciting project is so many people, and we've talked about this, and I think we're all in agreement, they start their year a couple days after January 1st. And then a friend of theirs is like, hey, did you set your New Year's resolutions? And they're like, hold on.
Yeah.
And they grab a piece of paper and they just write down 4 things that maybe have no meaning to them just because that quote unquote friend or coworker or maybe significant other is talking about resolutions. And it's 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days after the new year. And the reality is it kicks in and you're like, oh yeah, I'll do those later because I got a meeting I got to get ready for. And then kids have this. We wanted to focus on the value of trying to set yourself up for the best start to 2025 by finishing 2024 strong, which is what you do from this point, from the 22nd of October throughout the rest of the year. And the big thing that we've all talked about, and I think we're all in agreement, is obviously accountability is a big piece, but none of us have ever talked about the word perfection. We don't talk about you need to be perfect every day, every moment, but it's can you be more consistent than you are inconsistent? And if there's somebody that you need or a subject or a topic that you need help in, this is the type of group that we all know that 6 degrees of separation. I believe in today's day and age, we're 1 degree separated from that person, whether it's a business coach, a branding coach like yourself, a fitness coach like Christian, or what Denzel and I do. And the reality is those people that are going to come to this event, you're going to be surrounded by like-minded people, right, and you're going to have conversations in the networking that starts the event and finishes the event where people are going to say, wow, like, tell me a little bit more about that. And then there's one extra piece that VIP experience for those people that want to pay a little bit more for their ticket to get to spend some time with us and the sponsors after the event, really breaking down some of their specific questions or challenges.
Absolutely. And there's going to be, so from 5 to 6, is going to be a happy hour networking, and there's going to be some headshot photography taking place. So you guys can all update your digital footprints with a new headshot. Then from 6 to 7:45, we're going to have a raffle, and there's going to be the speakers. This is Steam Panel that's here at Mission Control today. And then again, from 7:45 to 8:30, there'll be more networking and some more photography taking place. And then from 8:30 to 9:30 is the VIP experience. And we've already got some sponsors lined up. I do want to shout out BDX Fitness. My personal trainer, Rob Rodriguez, is signed on to be a sponsor. And you guys made me think of what he's got in the gym. It says, consistently good is greater than occasionally great. So just be consistent. Do your best. Progress, not perfection. But as we wrap up, I want each of you to give our listeners your websites or your social handles. So if they want to find out more about this conference, they can do that and purchase tickets. Go ahead. Awesome. We'll start with Denzel.
Yeah, guys. So you can follow me at Instagram at dzfit_performance. When you go there, I also have a link as well to all of my other socials and everything there. So check me out on Instagram. And besides that, I'm see you on the other side.
All right, Christian.
So Instagram is Christian F. Palmer, like Christian Foxtrot Palmer. And then website is relentlessfitnessandnutrition.com.
Awesome. And I love your content. I've been watching the videos. So keep it going, man. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Definitely follow Christian. The man is relentless. He's a physique. He's an Adonis. Right? He's barely even just fitting on that stool.
You can't see. He's actually on 3 stools right now. We have to duct tape them together.
Three-legged stool.
I'm just glad it didn't break.
The three-legged stool. Christian, Christopher, why don't you share your taglines and socials?
Appreciate it. All my stuff is under No Quit Living, the website noquitliving.com, or on Instagram, No Quit Living. We have everything from our podcast, our books, all the coaching things we do there. And I'm just really excited to be on stage with the 3 of you. And for anybody that is maybe on the fence, I will say this: you will have a heck of an experience. You're going to learn a bunch, but if you're looking for people to really hold you accountable and give you the tools and the fundamentals, as opposed to a lot of people out there that do a lot of the fluff and the song and dance, this is definitely not that type of conference. We're going to have some fun. Obviously, I think we had some fun today, but we're going to get down to the blocking and tackling and finishing your 2024 strong, so you can crush the starts at 2025.
Excellent. All right, everybody. This is Finish Strong Personal and Professional Development Conference, Tuesday, October 22nd at the Norwalk Inn. We hope to see you there. Gentlemen, thanks for being here at Mission Control.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Foxtrot sounding.
Foxtrot, Delta Bravo.
Over and out.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.